So, hello and welcome to the Emotionally Healthy Schools podcast series, where we are showcasing and celebrating good practice in some of our Derby City schools. Today I'm joined by Chrissy, who is the designated senior lead for mental health at Noel Baker Academy. Hello, Chrissy.
Hello.
So tell us a bit about Noel Baker Academy.
So Noel Baker Academy is part of the Lead Academy Trust. We have just under 1,100 students. Everything that we do is underpinned by our belief that students are entitled to the very best breadth and depth of provision. So that for us really is our ethos. We have a mental health and wellbeing team in school, which is made up of myself, our school counsellor, and another 2 members of staff. And we have just created, we have members of staff in each faculty actually that have a SEND but also mental health role, a whole school role really as part of their responsibility, which is just coming in September. So that's a little bit about us.
Great, thank you. So what was the issue when it came to mental health within your school? What did you identify as the problem?
So really, we're dating back to 2018 in our Ofsted report, where it was stated that some staff didn't feel safe in the school. So that for us was obviously the pinpoint of where it all began really, and we wanted to make sure that the staff felt safe in school as well as the students obviously. But in doing so and making those staff and everybody in the community feel safe, that was a good basis in which to build upon, which we could really then have a look at our provision and see where we went from there.
So what did you decide to do? It's quite a big statement really for staff to say that they don't feel safe.
It was really, obviously it's quite easy to then put in, things like treats and stars of the week and things like that. But we really felt that because of that statement that we really had to go deeper than that. And we started to think about staff workload and how we could change sort of our procedures, our policies that were really at the heart of what we did to enable us to kind of work from the bottom up, so to speak. So it was things like we bought into an EAP, so the employee assistance program, which we bought into, and that has a whole host of different resources available to staff. It also meant that we had a clear referral process if anybody was struggling, that we could go through their managers and obviously seek them support in that way. But it was the things I think that made the most difference, which was we took off additional duties for teachers, so they weren't having to do duties at break or lunch times, which was a massive thing. We also made the detention system more centralised, so actually teaching staff didn't have to cover that, and that was all run through pastoral leads and SLT, so we were sort of having to stay behind after school for that. On the weeks that we had either data entry or parents' evenings, things like that, we cancelled all after school meetings and made it sort of like a wellbeing week, just so that we took a little bit of the pressure off that as well. We've also, with regards to data, we've reduced the data points by 50%. So now it's 3 and 1 instead of 6, which it would have been over the year, which obviously makes a massive difference. And we also have I think a big one is the no marking policy. So we've really had a look into how we teach, how we offer feedback within the lessons, so that actually a lot of that feedback is verbal. The way we teach gives us opportunity for that, and it means that actually when it comes to marking, it's obviously only the real assessments and things like that that we then expect staff to mark. So that's massive. I mean, in relation to workload, that's something that staff, and obviously through staff voice and things like that, we've recognised to be a real plus. As well, just little things that we've done. So with regards to emails, we've had senior leaders that have been encouraging and joining staff in adding strap lines to the bottom of emails that says basically that we're emailing at a time that is convenient for us, but please don't feel obliged to respond outside of working hours, that sort of thing. But then as well, we've kind of got the staff involved. So we've created staff focus groups, staff surveys, staff CPD, to make sure that obviously we're on top of everything that we need to be. Staff bulletins and newsletters have gone to staff, obviously with a focus on mental health. It's got a very clear part of that. And other than that, we've just recently, so things like the recent mock exams with the year 11s, we've actually had external marking that's taken place as well, which again has reduced the workload on staff in school, because as we know at the moment it is very busy. So
Yeah.
I think, I mean, obviously I've said that that's, you know, where we've started from and really got to the root of it, but we have done other, you know, little things like, because of through working in bubbles, because of the increase in break times, lunch times, and you know, just the general busyness of the school, things like getting people like travel mugs so that they can always make sure they've got a hot drink. We do free lunches in the canteen so staff can get a free pasta pot if they've not had chance to, you know, go and have the lunchtime that they would normally be able to do. So just little things like that, just to make everything more comfortable for the staff really, and just to give them, you know, as much time that we possibly can and just make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, so you've clearly workload's been a massive thing and is a massive thing when it comes to staff wellbeing. I'm interested about your staff voice. So you've mentioned about having focus groups and things like that. So how have the staff responded to all of this? How do you know it's sort of working for them?
Yeah, so the staff, because it's so high on our priority list, I mean, we have an agenda item in SLT meetings, and obviously a lot of the work that we do within that is to look specifically about how the staff feel and you know, that sort of thing. And they engage in everything. We're really lucky here that, from, you know, everybody in the school community recognises how important it is, especially now, and they really are positive and get involved in pretty much anything that we try to do. So we are really, really lucky in that respect. It's come across now in, obviously when I have done the staff voice, it's 99%. So where we've gone from staff not feeling safe in July 2018, it's now 99% of staff feel safe in the community. And that's, I think, shows sort of, and is testament to what we've done and how hard we've been working on it as a school.
Yeah, that's great. And have you spotted any sort of wider impacts of that in terms of the way that the school feels, or the way that anything that the pupils have picked up, or parents? Is there any sort of wider implications?
Yeah, I just think generally, for saying, you know, we are in real challenging times, there is a buzz around the school in relation to the staff. I mean, we've got a staff advent calendar running at the moment with all of the staff and the students as well have decorated each of the bubble areas, which has been unveiled today. We've got a competition going on to see which bubble area is, you know, the best decorated. And it's just little things like that. Everybody is appreciating that. I mean, we've obviously got this 2-week push now till Christmas, which, you know, historically is quite a tricky time anyway. But yeah, it's just really noticeable that there is that feeling of we are a team, and that's the staff and the students alike, and we have little competitions and, you know, Christmas jumper day and fancy dress where the staff will come in fancy dress on, like Halloween we did, and that sort of thing. And this, I think everybody appreciates it. It does sort of break it up a little bit. It's a bit different to the norm. And yeah, it's just a really nice place to be.
Yeah, oh, that's great. And so hard to get that sense of community when you're all in your separate little bubbles. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the competition comes in. We've got a very competitive nature, and each of the bubble leaders and SLT are quite competitive in themselves. So yeah, there's no shortage of people wanting to get involved.
And has there been much use of virtual with everything that's going on? How are you managing to kind of get the communications working between you? You mentioned bulletins, but
yeah, so all the meetings pretty much happen now, apart from morning briefings within your bubble, they are virtual. So again, we had a inset day actually the day, which was a lead wide inset day, where the three secondary schools from the academy all met virtually for a training session for the morning. And actually the rest of the day was given over to staff wellbeing again for that. So it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And yeah, even then, sort of staff were given the rest of the day at home. We didn't have to come into school for that. And that was really nice. But yeah, virtually obviously is a massive part of what we do now. SLT meetings are done virtually every week as well. Faculty meetings are done virtually at a time that is convenient, you know, for those. But at the same time, a meeting only happens if it needs to. And I think we've recognised actually, whereas we were meeting religiously, because I was a curriculum director last year, and we met, you know, religiously. If it was on the calendar, we met. Whereas now, actually, it is left a little bit more to the CDs or to SLT, or, you know, dependent on need, will depend on that meeting and how long it needs to be. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's plenty that, you know, that we could do, but we've recognised that I think something for us that we're really focusing on now is parental engagement, and I think that's our next step forward. We've held actually a couple of parent webinars through Bridge the Gap, which were really, really positive, with a focus on self-harm and anxiety for both of them. So whereas we haven't been able to have parents in for the coffee afternoons, coffee evenings that we have done in the past, we're still trying to keep those lines of communication open. So yeah, that's something that we're sort of working on at the moment as a way and a means to sort of have that communication that we've got going in school with the wider community as well, and our parents.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Chrissy, for talking to me, and thank you for listening.